Welcome everybody to Wyatt Zang's College Football Show, episode number 42. We are here, not live, but we are here. Had some technical issues, so we're recording the show at the time it should be live. But we'll get it up to you on the channel by about, I would say, 8 o'clock-ish p.m. Eastern time. This should be up. But according to, when you rely on technology, it fails you 99% of the time. So we are here, not live, but we will make the best of it. We got a show to do, so we're not going to waste any more time. I did want to mention there is 19 weeks. When I was creating this show earlier today, I was, getting the show notes ready and all that, and graphics. I realized there is 19 weeks until the college football season, until the first game of the season kicks off. 139 days. When you say 19 weeks, it sounds a lot shorter than 139 days, but we will get there eventually. We got a lot to jump into today. We got college football and the Masters. How can those two how can college football learn from the Masters? Well, what can they learn? We're going to dive into that. We're also going to jump into some college football team predictions. We got 4 teams we're going to predict their entire season. Not game by game, but we'll go over games and give you the record. And then we also have Ryan Day's college football draft proposal, and I got some things to say about it. I am kind of confused on what he wants to accomplish with that, but we'll dive into that. Plus, thoughts on James Franklin. We're going to go do some coaches. I'm going to be doing a series starting today. Well, I will be going through the country at each team and doing a review of their coach. What's the feel on their coach, and what's the thoughts? Today is James Franklin. We're starting it off hot with James Franklin. I cannot wait to dive into the show. By the way, going with the Masters, congrats to Rory McIlroy for winning his second Masters in a row. I was glued to it all weekend. It was a great Masters. We can go ahead and dive right into the show, though. We got a little combination between college football and the Masters. Here's the end point. Can college football learn anything from the Masters? That is the question. The Masters is full of tradition. That is the word. When you think of the Masters, you see the whole flyovers and the course and the champions dinner and all this stuff goes into the Masters. In one weekend, it creates the biggest hype around any golf tournament in the entire year. This is the most waited for golf tournament all year. I think, in my opinion, it's above the Ryder Cup, in my opinion. Some of you might differ, but in my opinion, it's above the Ryder Cup. You have tradition. That is what the Masters is. The Masters is full of tradition. What can college football learn from the Masters? That's kind of what I want to dive into today. What do they learn from them? What can they take away? Well, the Masters, I'm going to be honest with you, leaves a lot of money on the table. Diving into this topic, the Masters leaves hundreds of millions of dollars on the table each year because their media rights. The way they have their media rights is they don't get paid for streaming. Like, CBS has the rights, and the Masters doesn't sell the media rights. The Masters makes money 2 ways. I mean, I'm sure there's different ways, but 2 main ways. Ticket sales, and number 2 is merch. They average $60 to $70 million in 4 days off of merch. That is called branding, folks. College football needs to learn a little something from the Masters in terms of branding. Now, college football is a big brand. I mean, when you really think about all the merch that they sell from each conference, each team, there's 138 college football teams. So yes, college football knows what branding is. They know how to make money from merch. But think about the Masters. Can college football sell $70 million worth of merch in 4 days? I don't think. That is the most hype. Now, you can make an argument it only happens once a year. In college football, each team has 12 games in a year. There's hundreds and maybe, if not thousands, of college football games each year. So you can make an argument it's less of it, so you want more of it. So there's more merch being sold. There's more tickets being sold in college football over a bigger span of time. But the Masters does it in 4 days. I think what the biggest thing that they need to take away from the Masters is the fact that the Masters doesn't care about money, because they know that they can make money in selling their brand. When you can build a big enough brand, which is what we're doing here at Wyatt Zang's College Football Show. This is my show. I'm building a brand where you guys can come in and watch college football year round. I'll give you college football twice a week year round. This is a brand. I'm building a brand. Wyatt Zang's College Football Show, Tuffy is our mascot, is a brand. Now, what the Masters has built is a brand. What college football has built is a brand, but the Masters knows how to run their brand better. Another thing I want to mention is leadership in college football. Leadership is a big thing that the Masters prioritizes. One thing they're really good at is having the right people in leadership. The Masters has a lot of former players as leadership, and that's the biggest thing that I take away from the Masters and the way they run it is their leadership. They have former players like Jack Nicklaus, like, Tiger Woods. They have those guys on the board to run the Masters each year. That is the best decision that they could make. In college football, you have a bunch of guys who potentially don't watch college football. We don't know, but I'm going to say they're not invested as me and you are. They have those people, and they pass on the players. Imagine if you had Nick Saban running college football. Imagine how much better it would be. The ideas he would have, because he's been in here coaching, so he knows what it's like. He knows what Kirby Smart's going through. He knows what Kalen DeBoer's going through. He knows what those guys are going through. So he can give ideas to benefit the sport. Those other guys have never been in the sport. They have never coached. They are not players. They've never been in the sport. Nick Saban, as an example, you could use anyone as an example, Urban Meyer, whatever, but he's been in the sport. Now, I'm not saying you can't have non-sports players or non-sports coaches, to run the sport. I'm not saying that. Josh Pate is commissioner. He would be a great commissioner. I'm not saying he can't run college football, but just imagine having the people that actually love this sport to run the sport. That's all I'm taking away from this. So when you look at the Masters, they're one of the most prestigious displays of tradition and just selling their brand. And I think that's what college football could take away. Now, yes, it's golf versus football, but those are, in my opinion, the two best sports in the world, and I think that they can learn from each other. So in my opinion, college football can learn a few things from the Masters, and that's what they can learn from it. So that's my take on the whole college football learning from the Masters. That's all. Not going to learn. College football is not going to turn into the Masters, but just a few things that they can learn there from the Masters. Another thing that you guys can do to help me out and help build this brand is subscribe to the channel, because number one, that only helps you guys, because then when you subscribe to the channel, it supports us. When you like the video, it supports us. When you comment, it supports us. And when you watch, it supports us. That just fell. Sorry about that. But one of the things that it does is it supports us to create more videos for you guys. So it's a circle. It's just a circle. We don't, we just put money back into the show. Money we make goes back into the show, into you guys. That's why we're in this nice studio building. All right. Now, we could jump back into some college football team predictions. This is going to be a fun one to dive into. I've been waiting to do this segment. Kind of been waiting till spring ball is kind of almost over, and I would say it's kind of coming to an end. We're getting to summer here soon. May's coming up within a few weeks. Got like 2-3 weeks till May. So I wanted to jump in to some college football team predictions and previews. We're going to preview 4 teams. We're going to predict 4 teams, not their game by game, but we're going to break down each game very quickly and kind of give you a record prediction. And we're also going to run through the team very quickly. I wanted to start off with the first one being a very good team, and that is Notre Dame. Notre Dame's the first one. It says number 2 on the screen. That was a hiccup, apparently. That's all on the producers. The producer is me. But nonetheless, Notre Dame is on here. We're going to talk about Notre Dame. The season kind of rides on C.J. Carr. If you kind of really think about it, C.J. Carr, it kind of determines the season. Like, Jeremiah Love's gone. Jadarian Price is gone. C.J. Carr is the driver. He's in the driver's seat of this Notre Dame team. He's driving the car, pun intended. But I got to say, this wide receiver room can really help him out. This is the underrated wide receiver room. When you look at it, they have Jordan Faison, who is a great wide receiver. He was there last year. They got Jaden Greathouse, who is another great wide receiver. I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he's been battling some injuries, but I think he'll be good to go when the season comes. And then Mylan Graham, another guy I'm excited for. And then you just throw in Quincy Porter Jr. from the transfer from Ohio State. So you have 4 solid wide receivers there. plus CJ Carr. So their offense should be fine. They shouldn't miss a beat there. But I would say as record prediction and schedule, we're going to dive into that here. I actually have their schedule, pop it up on the screen here. This is their toughest games of the season. So they have not many tough games. I see like 2 losable games on their schedule, but I got to say, starting off with Wisconsin, that's their first game. Like Wisconsin, Rice, and Michigan State and Purdue are their, and North Carolina and Stanford are their first 6 games. And those are all winnable games. Like none of those games are games that I would really say are like losses. So I would say they're going to probably start off 6-0. And then you hit BYU. BYU is an interesting one because BYU, I have mixed opinions on BYU because we're not sure what they're going to be. But I do know for a fact Notre Dame's going to be better than BYU. So give me like another win somewhere around in there. I don't see where they're going to hiccup in those first 7 games. Navy, I don't see a hiccup there. Now, where I see a hiccup is within the last 4 games. They have Miami, Boston College, SMU, and Syracuse. I see Miami and SMU as the 2 toughest games they're going to play. Miami's at home and SMU's at home. So the question becomes, do they lose one of those games? And I actually think they do. I think Notre Dame's record prediction for me is 11-1. I think they lose either the Miami or the SMU game. Now, we're not predicting games because I don't see a skill in that. Like, people predict games, but it's like, yes, there's fun in that, but I don't see a skill. I'm going to give you Miami or SMU as one of their losses, both at home, but I see both as potential losses. SMU with Kevin Jennings returning. Miami brings in Darian Mensah. I see potential losses there. So that is Notre Dame. Now we can jump into Ohio State, who I was going to have as number 1, but turns out they're number 2. Ohio State. They bring in, they keep Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith, and Bo Jackson. That's their big 3 on offense. That's their big 3 on offense. And I am very excited for it because when I look at those 3 guys, I see one of the better quarterbacks in college football in Julian Sayin. I see one of the better wide receivers in college football in Jeremiah Smith. Those are the 2 guys that Julian Sayin could argue for number 1 quarterback in the country. Jeremiah Smith is easily the number 1 wide receiver heading into 2026. Bo Jackson, I think, has potential to be a top 5 running back in college football. My question is, new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. That's my question. And then another question is defensive unknowns. So they have Matt Patricia as defensive coordinator. He returns. So they have one brand new coordinator, and it is Arthur Smith at offensive coordinator. So I look at this team, and my biggest question, like I said, is defensive unknowns. But we'll get into their schedule in a second. It's pretty crazy, but we'll get into it in a second. I am really highly dependent on the development of Matt Patricia's defense and Ryan Day to develop that defense because I need them to have a good defense if they're going to have a good season. So I got to really put a lot of faith into those 2 coaches and that coaching staff as a whole. As we jump into their schedule, this is their toughest games. They got Ball State at home in week 1. We can all say that that's going to be a win. Texas, they go to Texas. Could they, drop a game there? That's 50-50 for me. They have Kent State, Illinois, Iowa, and Maryland. I could see them getting through that. But then this is where it gets tough. You got Indiana, USC, and Oregon all back-to-back. There's a bye week between Indiana and USC. But you got at Indiana and at USC in a span of 3 weeks. Then you got Oregon right after USC at home, Northwestern, Nebraska, and Michigan at home. I have them listed here as 10-2 because I have them at 10-2. I do see a world where Ohio State goes 11-1, like where they're really, really good and they beat Texas and they beat Indiana and they beat USC. Maybe they drop a game against Oregon and beat Michigan. I see a world, but that is a tough schedule. So I'm going to mark down 10-2 as Ohio State because of the fact that they have the toughest schedule in the entire country. Like, it's rated number 1 if you look it up. So give me 10-2, but I think best case for Ohio State is 11-1. Most likely is 10-2. All right, next team is Auburn. Auburn's a team that I wanted to jump into next. Auburn's interesting. Auburn's one that you could have kind of gone either way with. In terms of them kind of popping off, and when I say popping off, I mean like 8 wins, or them kind of fizzling out and staying kind of towards where they've been, and that's 6-6. But I'm going to meet you in the middle. I'm going to go 7-5 as their best case, 6-6 as their most likely. Byron Brown returns, Alex Golish returns, or Byron Brown is coming in, and Alex Golish are coming in. They're not returning. They're new, but they are coming in from the same school, USF. So quarterback coach combo is returning, and I think Byron Brown was honestly had Heisman type numbers at USF. Now, does that translate to the SEC and Power 4 play? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. That's why it's a kind of an unknown team. But I'm not going to give them any unreal expectations for a team that has some question marks. So for Auburn's schedule, have their toughest games up here. I have Baylor at home, Southern Miss at home, Ford at home, and Vandy at home. I see them going either 3-1 or 2-2 in that stretch, because I see Baylor as a tough game, I see Ford as a tough game, and I see Vandy as a sneaky tough game. You have at Tennessee, at Georgia versus LSU, and at Ole Miss, all back to back to back to back. So that is tough. That is really, really tough. I see them dropping probably like 3 out of 4 of those games. You have Arkansas, Miss State, Samford, and at Alabama. I probably see them going 3-1 there. So I have them as 6-6, but I do see 7-5. I see if Byron Brown is really good, I do see 7-5. So again, Auburn, I don't want to give them unreal expectations as of right now. I mean, it is April 13th at the time of recording this. As we're going to jump into Florida State. This is the last team I wanted to talk about in this show. We'll hit 4 more teams on the Friday show. But I got to say, Florida State's an interesting one. Florida State is a big question mark. It's a big old fat question mark. And the reason they're a question mark is because there is kind of a phrase that's going around Florida State. And the phrase, in my opinion, is kind of they're just sitting around waiting for the inevitable. Like that's their MO right now, is waiting for the inevitable to happen. Because it's going to happen. Like, let's be honest, Mike Norvell has to pull off a really, really remarkable season to save his job. I mean, people could say 7-5, but 7-5, he's getting fired at 7-5. He might even get fired at 8-4. Like, it's just, if he's gonna keep his job, we gotta probably see a 9-3, 10-2, and that's at the very minimum. Is like 9-3. But I have FSU. I mean, they got a new quarterback battle. First off. It's Kevin Sperry, it's Ashton Daniels. Ashton Daniels looks to be the front runner, but there's really no clear front runner yet. I would say if I had to guess, Ashton Daniels, but there's no clear one. Like, it looks to be Ashton Daniels, but Mike Norvell hasn't really give us, confirmed or even hinted at answer. As for Florida State's schedule, they got a decent one. They got New Mexico State at home week 1. That's a win. If it's a loss, Mike Norvell's fired, but I think it's a win. SMU, that's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one for Florida State. SMU and Alabama back-to-back is going to be tough, especially going to Alabama. You got Central Arkansas, Virginia, Louisville. You got Louisville in there, sleeper team, by the way. Miami, Clemson, back-to-back, Boston College and Pitt, NC State, and Florida. I have them at 6-6, but 7-5 is kind of where I'm right in between there. Like, if I was to make their over-under win total, I'd put it at 6.5, because I think 7-5 is in play, but I think 6-6 is in play. For Florida State fans, they're probably rooting for 6-6, so Mike Norvell can get fired as quick as possible, which I think, honestly, you might as well fire him quickly so you can get the coaching search started. But I think you should have been fired last season. But hey, get the coaching search started, fire him early. That's my opinion, unless you somehow pull off a 10-2 season. But I don't see that coming. So for Florida State, give me 6-6. You could see an 8-4 if quarterback really works out, but I don't think quarterback's going to be like the biggest thing to write home about. So give me 6-6 for Florida State as of right now. You could see better, but you could also see worse. So Florida State at 6-6. That's where I like them right now. So that's my full four team previews and predictions as of right now. We'll do it again on the Friday show and keep going all the way probably until the summer. And then we'll get into more team deep dives, like really deep dives, and kind of get into playoff picture predictions and season predictions and all that stuff. All right, that was a good one. Take a drink real quick. For those of you listening on podcast, dead air. They say dead air is not a good thing, but dead air for a second here. We got 2 more segments, so we're about halfway through the show. I wanted to touch on Ryan Day's draft comments. That's the thing I'm going to touch on here in a second. Ryan Day has gone on This Is Football podcast with Kevin Clark. And he said some things that are interesting. It's a lot to really unpack and unfold. And it is Ryan Day's college football draft proposal. So I have a quote kind of from Ryan Day, from different parts of the conversation that I'm going to read here, and then we're going to unpack it together. We're going to really figure this out together here. Here's the quote. Quote, NFL-style opt-in draft for high school recruits to create structure and enforce roles amid chaotic NIL and transfer portal landscape. End quote. So, what that means, we're going to break that down, is an NFL-style opt-in draft for high school recruits. So when they mean NFL draft style opt-in, I have underlined. That's a key word there. Does he mean like some recruits can opt into the draft and some can not? Like, we need to really clear this up. Like, I'd love to have Ryan Day on another podcast so we can kind of clear this up. Like, what does he mean by opt-in? Does he mean that some players are going to be in the draft and some aren't? Some are just going to be recruited? Need some clarification here. Number one, I think this would kill college football, to be honest with you, because recruiting's kind of already dull a little bit. This would kill it. Like, recruiting would be gone. Like, at this point, we might as well just turn it into the NFL. AFC, NFC, Big Ten, SEC, might as well just completely turn it into the NFL. Just have the NFL with 138 teams. Here's my problem with this. Well, I have multiple problems with this, but here's my biggest problem. What's this even going to look like? Like, what's the amount of rounds? Like, are we going to have like a 7-round draft? Like, what are we going to draft 100 players? Like, I don't get it. But my biggest problem is who would get the first pick? How do you decide? Is it standings? Like, does UMass, the worst team, get the first pick? Because I don't think, all due respect, I don't think that, like, let's use Jeremiah Smith as an example. When he committed 3 years ago, I don't think Jeremiah Smith's going to want to go to oh my gosh, I can't talk. I don't think he's going to want to go to UMass. Like, I just don't think that's going to work. He's never going to sign off on that. Like, he's the number one player. He's the 5-star athlete. Like, there's no way you're getting Jeremiah Smith to go to UMass. It's just not going to happen. Or would it be Ohio State? Would Ohio State get the first? Like, would the top teams get the first-round pick or the first overall pick? So if that worked, how would a team like UMass or a team like Nebraska or North Carolina ever get good? Because they just get the draft because they don't get any good players. Like, the brand of Nebraska could recruit players better than the draft picks that they're going to get. So, like, how would that all work? My question is, or my answer to you is, it doesn't really matter because it's never going to happen. Like, this can't physically happen. You will never get enough coaches behind this movement to actually consider it. Like, no one's going to sign off on this, except for Ryan Day, I guess. But no one's going to sign off on this. Another quote from Ryan Day is he said in that interview, he said, you have to adapt or die. College football won't die. As college football is currently, it is not dying and it is not dead. So if it's not dead, why do we need to adapt? Now, I will agree, we need to make some changes. We need to really make some changes in NIL and portal and bring recruiting back. But this is not the way to do it. Like, if you're going to, like, I don't understand. Like, if you just want to go straight to the NFL format, like, I don't quite understand this move. Like, at this point, why don't we just do an NFL draft for college football? Like, that's basically what he proposed. In my opinion, it doesn't make sense. And what happens to the players that don't get drafted? Like, are they just done? Like, are they just out? I don't know. Are we going to draft 30-some players each year? I don't really understand that. But that's my take on the whole Ryan Day, Ohio State thing. It shouldn't happen. It won't happen. I'm confident in that too. I don't know why he threw this out. I don't know if he was having a bad day or something, but I don't think that was really Ryan Day. Like, I don't think that he's going to have those ideas. Like, I just think that was really far-fetched. He must have caught him on a rough day or something. But I got to say, Ryan Day, that is not a good idea. And I hope that, he realizes that because, I mean, not that it's ever going to happen. Like, we don't have to be scared for it to actually happen because it's never going to happen. So, with that being said, we don't have to worry about it that much. Take another sip of water real quick. Got to say, we're 25 minutes into the show. We're going to be about a half hour, close to 35-minute mark. But I got to say, when you think about this next segment we're going to jump into, it's the thoughts on James Franklin. I'm going to need you, we'll just save it for the intro. When we cut this video up individually, we're going to want this in here. All right. What's the opinion on James Franklin here? What's my thoughts on James Franklin? Well, I need you to really, really kind of clear your head for a second. Get rid of your bias. Like if you're a Penn State fan, get rid of that. If you're a Virginia Tech fan, get rid of that. You're just act like for a second that you're a fan of no teams right now. You are just an alien from space coming down to watch college football, and you see James Franklin. And everyone tells you what he's done in his career. We're going to throw up something on the screen here that shows his career record at Penn State, 2020 to 2025. You see that. You're the alien. You see, 6 years of records. You look at that. What's your first thought? What is your first thought? Well, my first thought is, wow, 4-5, 7-6, 11-2, really going up. He's really starting to build a program there. And then I look and say, wow, he went 11-2, 10-3, 13-3. Wow, he really built a pretty good program there. 11-2, they won a bowl game. 10-3, lost a bowl game. And then 2024, they literally went to the Big Ten championship. They went to the playoff, won a playoff game, won 2 playoff games, and made it to the semifinal. What a phenomenal year in 2024. 2025, what did they do? They went 3-3, and he got fired. He got fired after one bad season, one losing season. And they weren't even having a losing season yet. One losing season, kind of, in the last 5 years. And they fired him. Can you imagine if Nick Saban... Now, I know Nick Saban and James Franklin are a lot different. But can you imagine if Alabama went under Nick Saban, started the year 3-3, and Alabama fired him? You would think that was the dumbest move you've ever seen. And I would agree with you. Now let's put that into James Franklin perspective. You're probably thinking, oh, well, James Franklin deserved it. He didn't win anything there. Hold on. I get it. You're probably saying, well, Nick Saban, you can't compare him to Nick Saban. He won championships. Okay, fair. What about Dan Lanning? We'll compare him to Dan Lanning. What if Dan Lanning starts the year 3-3 with Oregon, and Oregon fired him? Would you look at that and say, yeah, he deserved it? No. If you got a level head on your shoulders, you would say, okay, that kind of came out of nowhere. That was random. I feel like that was a little harsh. That's my thoughts on James Franklin. That whole debacle we just went through, that's my thoughts on James Franklin. I think he's a phenomenal coach. Number one, he's a great coach. Despite what everyone tells you, he is a great coach. And there's nothing that'll change my mind on that. Like, James Franklin's one of the best coaches in college football. Is he top 10? No. Is he top 15? I think you can make an argument, yeah. I think you can make an argument that he's top 15. Just look at what he's done in his career. He's won. He wins the games he's supposed to, and he loses the games he's supposed to. So he's perfectly rated. Like, I can't argue that James Franklin's overrated. How is he overrated when he wins the games he's favored in and he loses the games he's not favored in? Now, yes, he doesn't go above and beyond, but I got to say, he's still a really good coach. You can't take that away from him. Like, he's a little undervalued, I feel like. I feel like he's a little undervalued. Now, he's, new Virginia Tech head coach, so it's kind of like a renewed hope at Virginia Tech. It's like, wow, okay, we got a new guy in here. We got new hope, almost like that. It's like new hope. We're getting new blood. We're excited for this new era of Virginia Tech football. That's the Virginia Tech side of it. And I got to say, both teams kind of won because Penn State got Matt Campbell, and that's a win. Virginia Tech got James Franklin. But I think to end this segment out, my thoughts on James Franklin is he's a phenomenal coach. He's a little undervalued. I think him going to Virginia Tech is a great hire for Virginia Tech. Now, I know this happened, 4 or 5 months ago at this point? Like 5 months ago? But I got to say, my thoughts on James Franklin are he's a phenomenal coach. He is a winner. Yes, he doesn't win the games that he's not supposed to. But who wouldn't take 10-2 every year in playoffs? Eventually, he's going to break through. Virginia Tech would take 10-2 in a heartbeat. They take 10-2 for the rest of their lives. So for that, James Franklin is a very undervalued coach. I think he's going to do phenomenal at Virginia Tech. So that's my full take on James Franklin and my opinion of him and my thoughts on him, I think he's a phenomenal coach, and you can't take anything away from what he's done in his career. That is not only the segment, but that's also the show. Good 30-minute show today. Again, nothing above and beyond here in the off season so far. Gotta whisper that word because it's a little sad when you say that, but hey, we'll get there. Not quick enough. I'd like to have a nice summer. You know what I mean? I'd like to have a good, nice, slow summer. But come August, just get it. Just come actually, let's have a fast spring and a slow summer, and then we'll get to August eventually. So yeah, appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It's the button right below the video. Make sure you tap that, hit subscribe. Make sure you like the video. Get down in the comments. Let me know in the comments or in the live chat. Just let me know your thoughts on the show, on the individual segment, on whatever. Just let me know your thoughts on tonight's show. And also, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Wyatt Zang, CFB, or X. And by the way, the podcast feed, I noticed we're getting some viewers on the podcast feed now. We kind of struggled to get, honestly, 5 viewers on the podcast feed, but it's starting to pick up. In the last few episodes, we've started to get more views on the podcast. Now, the main, part of the channel and the main content and views feed is the YouTube channel. But hey, let's go to the podcast a little bit. Get a couple 5-star reviews over there. So yeah, appreciate you guys for watching. We'll see you guys back here at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Friday for another live show. Hope you guys had a great start to your week. And we will see you guys back here, like I said, Friday. Hope you guys have a great start to your week. We'll see you guys on Friday. God bless.